if I remember correctly, and you guys fact check me, according to Next Gen Stats, which is what I follow, NFL Pro, as opposed to just, well, I hope PFF got it right. They ain't going to tell us what the play was that they just graded or just show the pressure on. NFL Pro, you can click on the pressures and watch every single pressure, right? According to them, LVN had a higher pressure rate than TJ Watt last year. Now, people are going to go, whoa, Clayton, whoa. You're not saying that he's better than TJ Watt. Absolutely not. What I'm saying is he wasn't as bad as people think. And with that being said, too, with our draft board, I'm going to rattle off a couple names. I don't look at the edge defenders and go, man, this is a big problem. Why? Look at the EPA per dropback we just showed you. They're top 5, right? Look at the run defense. We were like 3rd in yards per carry allowed. I don't look at that defense and go, man, the pass rush is a problem. I just don't see it that way. I'm not going to name the podcaster or what radio station he's on live. But last year when I heard all the Rashawn Gary slander, and this guy said, go back and watch the tape. He couldn't even beat the tight end the tight end blocked him. A tight end is blocking him by himself. And I immediately knew the specific play because I'd already watched every snap 3 times from that game. He was playing a touch spy. He literally, an ET stunt, the tight end stayed with him, and you could see Gary just kind of watching the A-gap, making sure the quarterback didn't scramble up. It was designed to go like that. People don't know what they're watching. And that's okay if you want a fan like that, and they want to be lazy and not really pay attention to what's actually going on. That's cool. But, man, I can't sit back and hear you talk crap about an athlete and you don't even understand what his play call was.
Right.
You understand what I'm saying? Like, that's just – it's tough for me to keep my mouth shut there. But
do you think I'd honestly – it'd be a fun little project if we had maybe guys in the chat or whatever I'd love to do a cross stream with some of these people that say like, hey, this guy fell off. The study of this guy should be studied how he fell off, like all that kind of. Let's throw the tape on. I'll be real quiet. You can talk, Clayton. I
had a run-in on Twitter, and you know who this is, Jacob.
Oh, no.
When I first got on Twitter and I first started podcasting, I seen this dude talking down to a fan, and this fan was just asking a question, or he didn't ask a question, but he disagreed with the comment, and I don't even want to say the comment because you'll know who it is. Anyway, he basically said, you don't know what you're talking about. I invited him. I was like, let's get on a live stream, Hoss. I can't wait to test your football knowledge since you want to talk down to fans. Like, that stuff drives me insane. Because everybody's at different levels in understanding. I'm still a knucklehead at understanding, but at least I'm trying to find the answer. When you don't try to find the answer and you just put out clip after clip and short after short of these – of you ranting so you can get views and clicks. That's cool. I'm not gonna participate. And I've unsubbed to a lot of that stuff. And I really try to zero in my coverage to. I like Wildy and Tausch because Wildy does a good job trying to grab the story, trying to grab the emotion, the player's side, that type of thing is what I feel like he does really well. You get Tauscher's inside. He's a former player. And you get Brian Bulaga, who's a former player. That's the type of stuff I like to listen to as opposed to the shock jock stuff. But thank you for the super chat there, guys. Mac, appreciate you, buddy.
Yeah.
See, Aaron here says it's like a burrito bowl, but instead it's a bunch of chopped up hot dogs. It's from the show Detroiters. I don't know why, but Tim Robinson is obsessed with hot dogs. What the hell am I looking at here?
Yeah, it's.
I'm hoping you know what this means.
I do know what this means. Tim Robinson is one of in my opinion, he's hilarious. You either love him or you hate him. He has one of the weirdest comedic deliveries of all time. The United States, Tim Robinson. It is either, like I said, you either love him or hate him. I think he's hilarious because it's just nonsense, but he will make some absolutely.
Oh, I know exactly what you're talking about now.
He's the zipline guy. Remember I told Amelia about the zipline guy?
He is hilarious.
It's too much.
You sure about that?
Yeah, you sure about that?
That's not why.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
it's some of it's 55 burgers, 55 fries, 55 shakes. He's a little too much, but he's honestly hilarious. So anyways.
Oh man. But yeah, back to Godsmack's comment. I want to say this, Godsmack. I don't see Edge as the top. Like, man, we got to fix that. I just don't see it that way. Based off how we rushed the quarterback last year, the schematic approach. What I do see is we can really, really, really benefit from a 3-tech, a dominant 3-tech, right? Yeah. With that being said, if when the Packers are on the board at 23, if these players are on the board at edge, actually there's one player that I would get really excited about, and that would be there's a couple that's unrealistic. Abdul Carter is going to be long gone, right?
Yeah.
I would love him at the 23 pick, obviously. James Pierce Jr. out of Tennessee. If he's sitting there at 23, I'd be totally on board with us drafting him at the edge position. And now you light a fire under LVN and Rashawn Gary, and you got that heavy hockey rotation anyway, right? The hockey line rotation. Shamar Stewart is sitting in the 13 spot. I personally am not as big on him, but based on the board, which is what I've got to trust here, Daniel Jeremiah has him at 27. The 33rd team has him at 16. Dane Brugler had him at 9, and he scored a 10 RAS. And listen, at some point, I got to lower my ego and go, maybe that is the dude. Right. Me personally, I don't like the high RAS. To me, he feels like another LVN.
Yeah,
like, This guy's going to be
a clay.
Exactly, like a ball of clay that we're going to take a couple years. Well, no, I'm done with that.
Can I ask, where do you have Ashton Genty, the Louisville edge? He just keeps coming up on my radar. Same with Jared Ivey.
You talking about Ashton Gillot? Is that how you say the name?
Gillot. I don't know how that's pronounced last. I've never heard it.
Let me put my board put the draft board on the screen here so we can kind of follow along. So we've got Ashton Gillot, I guess is how you say his name. He's in the 62 spot for us. So that would be someone around. I'm trying to see what the pick would be. It would be in between, like
early third.
To me, it would be a reach at 54, but it would be a steal at 87. So he's kind of in that in between. Now, listen, that's just our board. Goody may have him as the 30th best prospect, right? Drew D says he thinks he's underrated. There you go. So, that's just how our board sees him. And the reason he's in that spot for us, he finished with a 57.1 grade. Remember the low number wins. PFF 22, his PFF grade, he was 280th at his position. Then he jumped all the way to 29th, climbed on up to 26th this past year. PFF Big Board had him at 40. The consensus Big Board had him at 86 at the end of the college football.
That seems kind of low, isn't it? Like for him performing that consistently.
And here's the thing: you go to PFF Big Board now, it's probably different. But I'm not going to change. I wanted the numbers
right away
immediately following the college football season. Here's what people thought, rather than did a good interview. I like him here. Yeah, this team likes him. Let's boost them up our board. I personally, this is a very, very, very college football production centered draft board, if that makes sense. These are the people that were really buzzing at the end of the year. Dane Brugler had him at 71 here recently. So that made me feel a lot better seeing that, the PFF Big Board had him at 40. We've got him at 62, but Dane Brugler having him at 71 kind of balances us out there. And we don't know what Daniel Jeremiah thinks yet. When we get his full top 150, we'll have a better idea of where he's going to fall on the board. But yeah, I would be totally on board with a third round pick. And it might be something too, Jacob, that we end up trading back at some point early in the draft, or we end up trading up and putting us right in that sweet spot. So could be a dude. Here's the thing though, like when you look at our edge defensive room, to me, it feels like you either take one at 23 that's going to compete for starting reps, or you don't take one at all. Because like if you took one in the third or fourth round, you're not going to play him over LVN. He's probably not going to be able to be out your boy Brenton Cox.
You're not stealing anything from Cox.
That's what I'm saying. Like if I looked at someone in a third or a fourth round at the edge position, I'd be going, I would rather have Brenton Cox Jr. out there at the 13.8% pressure rate, whatever it was, right? Yeah. That's why I mentioned those early ones. And again, another one that we didn't get to, cancel that out there. The other one is, like I said, James Pierce Jr. We talked about him. We talked about Shamar Stewart, but there was one more. Mike Green's another one. Mike Green at 18. Fred says no Cox blockers, please. Look, you got Michael Williams or Mikel Williams, however you say it, out of Georgia. That's another one in the 19 spot. I'd be okay with that. AR-69. You know what I mean? Like there's some edge defenders that if the board falls just right, I would not have a problem with it. And I think there's precedent for Goody taking an edge defender in the first round. There's no doubt. I just hope he goes more along the lines of we've seen a lot of production in college as opposed to this guy's an athletic freak. And that's where Shamar Stewart scares me. So.
Yep, exactly. I just I completely agree. When you look at some of these guys, like that's why I'm kind of beating the table now for Derek Harmon. I mean, that guy just produced in college. Sack numbers, hurries, hits, and like, isn't it? I believe that one of your theories is like a guy that, if he has 8 sacks, cool. But if he has like 40 hurries or rushes, or you know what I'm saying, like that's more. I want to see a guy that infects the play as much as he can. If he can be a person that has his thumb on the scale for every single play, where the point where like they cannot complete the plan that they want to execute, it's like, yeah, I want that guy. I don't care if he finishes with a sack. Like, that'd be great, obviously, but I'd rather just have a guy that consistently is a tornado, just a Tasmanian devil in there.
Right. No, I got you, man. J. Cole in the chat says, as much as I want Higgins, I'm assuming he's talking about Jaden Higgins. So this is Tim. Tim is in the chat tonight. He's signed in as J. Cole this evening. I'm wondering if Goot would take a wide receiver early. Yeah, for me, the thing about Higgins, we got him in the 52 spot. So to me, that feels like a second round pick. You know, I don't think he would warrant a first round pick. And, you know, precedent would suggest we're not going to take a wide receiver in the first round. I mean, how long has it been? Javon Walker was the last one, right? That was in my early days of becoming a Packer fan too. But so, you know, if you're not going to take one in the first round, Jaden Higgins is one of those guys that's going to fall right in that sweet spot. Like we got Trey Amos in the 45 spot. If he falls into that second round pick, and I'm trying to remember what it was again, 54, right? He would be a beautiful pick at 54 for a wide receiver, right? And he's a big body receiver, someone who could play boundary X, could probably mix in a little Z as well. Look, RAS through the roof. Goody loves those RASs, right? Same thing with Jaden Higgins. He scored a 9+. So those are two receivers that if we're going to try to, I don't want to say replace Christian Watson, but try to hold down the fort with a big body receiver, and you're going to draft one early. The only person I would see from a big body receiver standpoint in the first round would be Tet McMillan. I think he'll be gone by the time we pick at 23 because we've got him in the number 7 spot. But another guy here too that I think a lot of people aren't talking about, or not enough people are talking about, is where's he at? Out of Texas, our boy Matthew Golden. You know, he is very versatile. And we've got him in the 38 spot, but I see some people say that they like him over Tet McMillan. And guess what, Jacob? Packers met with him. So Matthew Golden, to me, it looks like the Packers would either be willing to take him at 23 or they're hoping he falls to 54 in the second round. But what do you think about receiver, man? How do you – I don't want you to try to predict how you think it's going to play. I don't think any of us can do that. But what would you like to see happen at the receiver position in the draft?
I'm not the biggest fan of Matthew Golden. I'm not a fan of I think the drop rate was what concerned me with him. I looked at other guys around his speed and stature that I just thought we could probably do better. But you know, I actually again, I've been more excited on like Isaac Tesla, Royals, Noel.
So a little later, right?
Pat Bryant. I mean, yeah, I don't have a problem if we were to take Jaden right away. I'd be completely cool with it. That's not my issue. My issue is more of stretching more for like one of those guys, like even Eric, is it Elick or Eric Ayamenyor or whatever from Stanford? Mm-hmm. Like I know there's a lot of talent in this draft. I'm just trying to figure out if it's worth it to pick a receiver in a certain spot where we could definitely need like a 3-tech or a linebacker or a cornerback or an interior defensive line or something, you know, along those lines. I just, as much as I love Trey Harris personally, I like Jack Besh. I love guys. I've kind of let Tet go out of my capability of even processing if we get there.
We did that exercise, right? And we have
I love it. It's like 7 or 8 teams where it's like I can see that happening. Yeah. You know, it's same with the Mecca. You know, I never have let myself kind of even be entertained with the fact that he could get there. You know, and so here's another great example. I don't think Luther's going to hit us. I honestly don't think Matthew Golden will probably even. Yeah, maybe he would. Maybe Matthew would probably be down that tweener area, but I would much rather have Jaden Higgins. I'd much rather have Trey Harris.
Trey Harris really pops, don't he?
Jack Besh. Trey Harris is a beast, bro. Look at that right there. There's nothing wrong with what he does on the field.
If you look at this entire chart and you go, okay, who is the one who doesn't really have a downside? It doesn't mean he's perfect, but like it's Trey Harris. Next to him would probably be, if I had to guess, just looking at the chart, first glance, it kind of feels like Egbuka. Egbuka's pretty close. Obviously, Tet McMillan, he's pretty close. Travis Hunter, of course, right? Travis Hunter ain't nothing he can't do. Jaden Higgins don't look that bad either. Like there's not as much green, but there's definitely not as much red. Like there's no red on the board, maybe a little light pink.
Yep.
So, and when you look at our board and how we've got these guys ranked, again, this is not where they're ranked on our board. This is just the order in which our wide receivers are ranked. So this is all the wide receivers in the upcoming draft according to our board right now. Tet McMillan 1. We've got Emeka Egbuka 2, Luther Burden 3, Matthew Golden 4, Trey Harris 5, Jaden Higgins 6, Xavier Restrepo 7, Jalen Royals 8, Alec Anyamanor after him. Then we got Jack Besh, Tez Johnson. So what's the big thing that sticks out here, Jacob? Look at the 3 receivers that the Packers have met with so far. Matthew Golden out of Texas, right? You've got Jaden Higgins out of Iowa State, and you got Jalen Royals out of Utah State. Those are the 3 that the Packers have met with so far. And then you throw in Jalen Noel, who's going to be a later round guy. If you look at our overall score, typically you can go off this number and go, they're probably worthy of around that pick, whatever their grade is, right? Yeah. So a 39 for Matthew Golden seems like a reach for 23, but if he falls to 54, run the card up there. Jaden Higgins right there in that ballpark for 54. And then, of course, Jalen Royals kind of seems like 54 would be a reach, but if he lasts to the 3rd round, you'd be okay.
Yeah, who I really like on this list that a lot of people aren't talking about is Torrey Horton, wide receiver from Colorado State. I believe he's 6'3", big body receiver, played boundary most of his career, really possession type guy who has like unlimited, not the best athletic traits, but he's like a really good, strong possession receiver. Somebody here Clint, receiver from Tennessee, 6'5" and fast. If I'm not mistaken, that's Deontay Thornton Jr., right? And where do you have him?
We've got him significantly lower, man. And let me explain why, okay? First of all, Daniel Jeremiah does not have him in his top 50. 33rd team did not have him in the top 150, and Dane Brugler did not have him in his top 100 as of right now. Okay, and we'll get those numbers updated as we go along. So we have nothing to go off of there. He scored a 9+ in RAS, which he's a freak. We talked about that with the 40 and the size and all that stuff. So his PFF grade starting in 2022, these are positional rankings: 490th. Then he climbed just a touch to 483. Then he jumped all the way to 58th. Big jump. PFF Big Board at the end of the college football season had him at 220, and the consensus Big Board had him at 306. Those have probably changed since then. But again, I'm going to keep our numbers in, and you can look at our board and go, okay, it's more of a safe approach, and then look at the consensus Big Board or the PFF Big Board as they update it and go along and go, okay, well, here's more of the ceiling of where this guy may or may not go. So, yeah, Deontay Thornton, or Dante Thornton, however you say his name, from Tennessee, man, he's a freak. There's no doubt about that. Yeah. It's just, where did he line up on our chart here? Did we see him? He was at the very bottom, wasn't he, if I remember correctly? Yeah.
Oh, so he's way down there. Well, yeah, he does.
But see, the big thing was yards per game, right? Only 33.9, and his yards per team pass attempt was only 1.1. That kind of removes you a little bit.
He's blowing up on the other metrics, though. Like, it's like when he's in, he's great. He just wasn't in.
And it feels like he wasn't a big part of the game plan, but when he got his opportunities, he made pretty well with it, right? So, and it looks like he was out wide 73% of the time, but he did get 27% of the snaps in the slot. But I bet they were doing some crack blocking there. That big old thing. No doubt about that. So,
I mean, dude, when I look at this, one guy that we have not talked about a lot is Tez Johnson. Is there any hope? He's very small, I believe. If I'm not, I haven't looked him up right now.
Very small human being.
Tiny man.
Little tiny guy. But we've got him. Let's see, where's he at on our receiver board here? We've got him 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. He's 11th best receiver on our board. We got him with a 76.8 grade. So you'd probably be looking at 3rd round pick. He'd be worth it. Somewhere in that range right there. So, okay. Godsmack with the super chat. Thank you, buddy. Says, thank you, Clayton, for easing my concerns. You're definitely better than those, quote, experts on ESPN. In your opinion, who is our best defensive tackle? And that's a great question. Here's the thing. With Kenny, I've got to remove the ego and go, there's a reason that Goody is paying him all that money. I can watch the tape and go, yeah, not impressed. I can look at the PFF grades like everybody else and go, oh, those are horrible numbers, right? But typically, when you get someone, they're willing to pay that much money for a defensive tackle, you've really got to step back and go, okay, what am I missing here? Last year, we truly thought they would put him in a 3-tech and let him pin his ears back and go. We did not do that last year. So when I look at the tape from last year with Kenny, you've seen a lot of touch spine, and you've seen a lot of double teams and him just kind of holding his gap, that type of thing. Devontae Wyatt, hands down, is our best pass rushing interior defensive lineman. There's no two ways about it. Run defense, little sus, right? Carl Brooks, I think, is a solid player. He didn't take the jump that I expected him to last year. As a matter of fact, it kind of feels like he was a better fit in Joe Barry's scheme than Jeff Hafley's, just based off of the numbers, the production, and the grades. If you made me choose right now who's our best defensive tackle on the roster today, it's Devontae Wyatt. And again, that's why I feel like we need to go out and get another 3-tech for the future. I'm not sold on Devontae Wyatt being that dude that can anchor our defense at the 3-tech. Kenny, again, he was occupying a lot of double teams last year in that 1-tech. But when you pay somebody that much money, man, you got to – like, I felt like Kenny Clark should have paid Rashawn Gary a good chunk of change last year because he kept the heat on him. And what's crazy is Rashawn Gary led the team in pressure rate. He led the team in sacks. And he led the defensive line in run stop percentage. Like, he did everything better than anybody else on the defensive line. And people were screaming that he's overrated, he ain't worth the money, blah, 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 blah. And Kenny Clark, I was just sitting back going, nobody's saying a damn thing about Kenny. And he ain't done nothing. 6% pressure rate, right? TJ Slayton had an 8% pressure rate. Now, he's gone, obviously. So, yeah, my answer to that would be Devontae Wyatt. What would be your answer there, Jake? All of the defensive tackles on the roster, who do you think is the better defensive tackle?
Oof, it's kind of a tough thing to actually accept that if it's between Devontae and Kenny Clark, that's not good.
It ain't good at all.
It's not good. And I think that we just highlighted that maybe there's a glaring need to this I like what Holmes said. Harmon from the Ducks. I am a big Derek Harmon fan. I don't know, dude. I just think we got a definite glaring need right now in the interior defensive line room. And, I was a little critical of Rashawn, but again, Rashawn is kind of a product of being such a weird case where in Michigan, they didn't let him be a freak. They were like, set the edge, just do that. Just be a team player. He's like, yes, sir, I'll do that. Probably drastically limited his draft stock and all that kind of stuff. He comes to Green Bay and they're like, hey man, don't be a freak. Don't be a freak. Just do what we're telling you to do. And he's like, okay, I'll do it. And now it's finally like, all right, you'll be pinning your ear back. I just want him to unlock his potential in a way that actually like really gets to the point of what he can do. And at this point, I still am a little bit, I will say that's probably one of the largest gripes I have with the front office of Green Bay is like, if you draft a guy that high, you put him in a position that isn't what he excels at. Why are you doing that? What are we gaining from this? You think that he can do something really great? And I'll also say it's like you talked about when I don't want to draft off of RAS anymore, dude. I don't want to do this anymore. I want to find good football players that play football. I don't care if they're I think the biggest comparison is that guy, Willie Lemkin, I believe is his name. Mm-hmm. He's the right guard from Duke or whatever. He's like 5'10", 300 pounds. No reason to be in the NFL, but he's graded out like in the 80s and 90s every single time for like thousands of snaps. He's just
sign him up.
Sign him up. Give me Willie Lemkin, bro. Give me the Oompa Loompa. I want the bowling ball on my team. The guy can ball. Let's go.
Unbelievable. Since AR brung up defensive tackles, here's our draft board for defensive tackles. All right. So you see a lot of cheese, don't you?
Yeah.
Telling you guys, I think we called this one. I think if Goody had his way, he's looking to take a 3-tech, that 23rd pick. Kenneth Grant, well, in order, Mason Graham, he'll be long gone. Kenneth Grant, Packers met with. Walter Nolan, the Packers met with. Derek Harmon, they have not met with yet. But Derek Harmon is in my opinion, the fourth best defensive tackle in this draft. And he is significantly higher than the next tier that starts with Tyleik Williams. Look at the grade, 27.7 for Harmon, 39.4 for Tyleik Williams. So you really want to try to get one of these three guys if you're picking at 23 for a defensive tackle, right? Another
really
one
like Collins. What do you think about Collins?
About who?
Alfred Collins.
Alfred Collins. Collins. Okay. Yeah. I thought you were saying Holmes. I was going, who the hell's Holmes? I don't know. Yeah, Alfred Collins they met with too. We've got a 45.7 on him. So I would think that would, I would rather them try to get him maybe in the second round. And they may be looking at it like this. Like, think of it this way. I know Goody's board doesn't look like ours, but let's pretend like it does for a second. If he met with Kenneth Grant and Walter Nolan, right? And these aren't top 30 visits. We'll get a better picture when we get those in the bank. If he met with those two guys, don't it feel like he's trying to figure out which one of those two he'd like to take at 23?
Yeah,
right.
It does.
Now, if they're both gone when you pick at 23, don't it kind of feel like they're in the 50s? If Alfred Collins hanging around, you might take him, right? And then Aeneas Peebles and C.J. West, if for some reason Collins is gone, maybe you're trying a third or fourth round for one of those two guys. You see what I'm saying? Like the board will talk to you if you've got enough information in it. It'll really kind of show you a roadmap of what the GM may or may not be thinking. Now, you got to take into consideration, too, when we do the top 30 visits, it has been proven that some GMs in the past would waste top 30 visits on smoke screens, trying to make people think they're interested in someone when they're not. I try not to even think of the board that way. Like, if it's a top 30 visit, I want to take to the bank, all right, I think they're truly interested in them because it's valuable time. But when former GMs like Michael Lombardi said, yeah, we used to do that, it's like, okay, that's a real thing. It's got to be a real thing, right? So, yeah, but here's what's crazy. Who was it that brought up Harmon? You remember in the chat? Who was that? Was it Ahar? I thought somebody brought up Harmon. I could be wrong. There you go. J. Cole. All right. Here. So check this out, man. On the consensus mock draft, so here's how it works with the mock draft database website. They've been doing mock drafts all year long, right, for this specific draft. You can go to any past year and look at them as well. So you can go all time, the last 2 months, the last month, last 2 weeks, and the last week. So the most recent mock draft database, all the mock drafts that's being compiled. And let me give you an example. Like one of the people that does mock drafts for the Green Bay Packers on these sites is Jacob Westendorf, right? I think is he with Packer Wire? I can't remember. I apologize. I can't remember who he's with. Actually, I think I got one of his mocks right here. SI. So he's with Sports Illustrated. So they get people that cover specific teams to do the mock drafts, and they put them in the database. So here you go. Here's the average in the last week of who the Packers took. Guess who it is?
Let's go.
12%, Derek Harmon. J. Cole, you might be on something there, man. Might be on something. So Jacob Westendorf was all over Harmon, D-Harmony. DHarmony.com. Hey, listen, you don't have to be lonely at farmersonly.com. You ever heard that ad? I didn't know if that
Bro,
was
they're so bad. It's
yeah.
With the little dog that got the
oh yeah. I met my future wife out here in the hayfield. I tell you. Anyway, so Derek Harmon, it's funny you mentioned that, Jay. That's the most recent mock draft. Now, if we were to go all time, let's see what all time was. Okay. Well, actually, let's go 2 weeks and then we'll go all time. So in the last 2 weeks, that pick has been Jahdae Barron. Now, if we go back to our board, I'm not going to put it on the screen, but I'll tell you guys where we got Jahdae at. We've got Derek Harmon, like we just said. We've got him in the 25 spot. That's perfectly within reach for the Packers to take him at 23. That matches up with our board. Now, Jahdae Barron, we got in the 17 spot. Now, again, I see a defensive tackle, a 3-tech as tier 1, and I don't have a corner even at tier 2 in terms of importance of positions. So Jahdae Barron's value is so much higher on our board. As a matter of fact, it's 27.7 for Harmon, and it's a 20.7. So he's one full tier above. That checks out. I'm getting damn proud of this board, man, because I'm telling you, all the information it drops, it's like board checks out. Board checks out. So Jahdae Barron is one that you keep your eye on as well. And the mock draft popularity was significantly higher. I think Derek Harmon's was at 12%. Jahdae Barron's at 23%. So take that as you will. Let's go back now 1 month. So over the last month, right, the last 30 days, I'm assuming, it was Jahdae Barron at 20%. Again. See?
Oof. So, I would be so butthurt if we get Barron and then all of a sudden the Vikes get Harmon.
Derek
I would
Harmon,
not like that.
right? I'd be more pissed off just seeing Josh Simmons go 2 picks later, because Josh Simmons on our board is sitting in the 20 spot. So
He's coming off injury though, right?
I think he is. Yeah. Yeah, that's right. Yep. In 2024, we got a red box on him. I'm going to try to get some clarity, and we'll make a decision, an executive decision on as a group. Hey, should we pull the red box off or not? Do we feel like he's fully healthy or not? You know what I mean? Because
Right.
the whole idea was to go, whoa, wait a minute, he might still be hurt, as opposed to everybody's had injuries at some point, right? So we'll try to play that by ear. Now, if we go all time, let's just go all time. I imagine it's probably Jahdae Barron. Let's see who it is though. Oh, Siobhan Ravel all time.
Wow.
So
Okay.
early on, it was Siobhan Ravel. Now
Another guy coming off injury, right?
and he was top 10 on our board for a little bit. He's now dropped all the way to 27th because we're getting more and more information in. But here's the contrast there, right? His injury was in 2024, and that's significant because he couldn't perform at the combine, right? So, but Daniel Jeremiah has him at 46, Kyle Krabs has him at 7, and Dane Brugler has him at 32. So,
wow.
I feel like I would not take Siobhan Ravel with the 23rd pick, and the most recent mocks seem to agree with that. Does that make sense? So
yeah, that makes sense. I mean, honestly, if you go back to, you don't have to scroll down, but it looked like 2 picks later, Gray Zabel went, and it's like I'd much rather have Gray Zabel over a Siobhan Ravel Jr. at that point. Like it's same with Jahdae Barron. I don't want to let Barron or Zabel fall to the Vikings or the Texans. Like that to me that's unconscionable. I don't want to do that.
And I seem to be in the minority when it comes to where I see Gray Zabel on the board, because there's many mocks that have him going in the first round. But I think mainly because of the versatility, and people are seeing him as the best center in the draft now after the Senior Bowl performance. We've got him in the 54 spot. So
do you? Really?
Yeah, we got him at 54, and here's why. PFF, he dominated. Don't get me wrong. 155th and 22, jumped all the way to 24th, then jumped all the way to 5th. But the PFF big board had him at 39. The consensus big board had him at 74 at the end of the college season. He got a 5-point bonus at the Senior Bowl, so we're taking into account, hey, look, he should jump one full tier because of his Senior Bowl performance. Daniel Jeremiah had him at 48. Kyle Krabs had him at 89, and Dane Brugler had him at 38. So there's no one of our head scouts at the time, now that may have changed now, that would say, yes, he was a first-round pick before all of the Senior Bowl hype and everything. Does that make sense? So, again, that's where our board is more a safe approach as opposed to recent information suggests he is a first-round pick. And that's why, I mean, we're definitely in the minority there with Gray Zabel. That's one thing that the board does not match up with the consensus across the rest of the NFL media, I guess you could say. So I wanted to look at this real quick just for craps and giggles. We got a couple minutes here. Let's go back to 2024 and just see one week before the draft, what were they predicting the Packers going to take? Amarius Mims was what they were suggesting, right? Offensive tackle. We end up going Jordan Morgan, right? Did Jordan Morgan see he went 30 to Baltimore in their mock, right? So it's just interesting to kind of look at that. Now let's go 2 weeks before the draft, I imagine is what that was. It would have been Amarius Mims as well. So they were on him pretty early. I think he ended up going to Dallas, didn't he? Am I thinking right, Jacob? Or was that somebody else?
I'm pretty sure it's Dallas.
I get them all mixed up. Tyler Guyton. So they were thinking offensive tackle.
Or no, Guyton went to Dallas for sure.
That's right. Yeah. So they were all over offensive tackle. They being, just the media and all the mock drafts and everything, right? And then let's go just all time and see what they decide on. It's probably offensive tackle, I'm sure. Not Cooper DeJean.
Of course. Of course.
I love it. 20% of the mock draft popularity said you should have took Cooper DeJean at 25, and boy, they were right, wasn't they?
Son of
a. Let's see here. Let's just talk.
Can I ask real quick? Because I keep seeing this guy, Thor Griffith. Where do you got him again on your list?
Yeah, I want to say he's significantly lower. Let me double check real quick.
I keep, dude, like if that's the last pick of our draft, somehow we get Thor.
And I want you to explain why here in a second too, and I'll pull the information. I'll read the information off because I'm pretty sure we're on the same page with it. So Thor Griffith, I've gotten the 140 spot. Here's what Jacob's seeing, guys. In 2022, he was the 9th highest graded defensive tackle. In 2023, he was the 9th highest graded defensive tackle. In 2024, he only fell to the 26th graded defensive tackle. But here's what's bringing him down on our board, Jacob. PFF Big Board at the end of the college football season had him at 230, and the consensus Big Board had him at 259. If we remove both of those numbers, we would have him as a legit first-round pick. And that's why those numbers are important, and they have changed since then. I'm sure he's higher on the boards now. But we have no information from Daniel Jeremiah, so he wasn't in his top 50, obviously. 33rd team did not have him in the top 150. And Dane Brugler did not have him, I think, in the top 100, I believe is how far. He may have just went to 52, but regardless, none of them see him as a first or second round pick. And we've got him around the 140 mark. And I'm trying to think, where would 140 be? 140 would be somewhere around in between the fourth and the fifth round pick that we've got. We got in the fourth round, we got pick 124. In the fifth round, we got 159. So,
I mean, I don't get it, dude. He's 6'2", 320, played at Louisville, like playing with good contests. Like you talked about, right now PFF have upgraded it to he was 9th overall in 2022, 9th overall in 2023, 18th overall in 2024, playing significant snaps. I mean, what more can Thor do, bruh? Like he's got a pass rush win rate of 9.9, not the best, but a true pass rush grade of 71.2, run defense grade of 84 flat. I mean, that to me is where I really like. He's actually played A gap a substantial amount of his career, played B gap quite a bit more, but A gap, you know, if you're looking for a guy to go in there and maybe try to be a multi-versatile type of defensive lineman, I love him, man. I love him.
Clint Cosgrove says he has his hammer in the carry-on luggage. There you go. There you go. Judy says he assumed his testing was bad. I don't have an RAS for him. Look, we're getting ready to wrap up. Jacob, what's your parting thoughts here? I'm going to pull up RAS on my side and see if we have any kind of RAS for Thor yet. I don't even know if he performed there. If this will load.
Parting thoughts would be probably that when we looked, I think a really good practice is a few episodes ago, we looked at our roster, our actual depth chart, and it really did highlight, okay, wow, we need some people in the linebacker room. We need some people in the defensive interior lineman room. We need some people in the backup role for offensive line, basically around the whole spectrum. We need probably a wide receiver. And that's kind of what I felt. I would be okay with taking a tight end if it was one of those kind of flashy guys that fell to us where it's like, you can't not. If a Colson Loveland falls to us, it's like, how do you not take that? But at the same time, there's so many great interior defensive linemen in this draft where I feel like if we don't get one, we need that solid 3 tech. We just do.
Yeah.
And I think that.
Go ahead. You're good. I'm sorry.
No, I think that we could probably come around in the back end of the draft and get a really quality linebacker. Like I think coach just said we need some linebacker depth. Sure, knowing that Wilson's going back to the Vikings. Oh, that made me so mad. Teddy Buchanan is what I'm looking at right around there. Some sort of late round linebacker that has bona fides. But what do you think?
Yeah. So Thor Griffiths, no measurables other than height and weight. He's 6'2". That scored a 3.96. His weight 320 is an 8.85. So we have nothing on him. What we're probably going to need to look into, when is Louisville's pro day? That's what we need. Let's see. Let me type this in real quick. Louisville Cardinals pro day. And they may do like a conference thing.
Tool for this says that Jordan Mason just got traded to the Vikings.
Who's Jordan Mason? That sounds really familiar. Who's Jordan Mason?
I believe
running back or offensive line, maybe.
I thought it was offensive lineman, but
so the Louisville Cardinals are going to host. Nope, that ain't it. That's the wrong year, Clayton. Dang it! I hate it when they do that. It was from 2023. Trying to see if they've got their pro day scheduled yet. It's got a bunch of the colleges here. That's Indiana. This is great podcasting here. Where's Louisville?
The Jordan Mason was actually who you're thinking. It was the halfback from San Francisco who got traded over there. Yeah, overall grade last year of a 72.7. That was 26 out of 47 halfbacks. Receiving grade's kind of dookie, but a rushing grade of 76.1. That actually is that makes sense.
Yeah, it does. Louisville, according to this on NFL.com, if this is the proper year or the correct year, they're saying March 25th. Let me get a timestamp. Yep, March 25th is going to be Louisville's pro day. So that's 10. We're 10 days away, unless he's hurt. We should. There you go. Thank you, Jay. I should have just asked Jay.
Just ask the chat, man. Come on.
The chat is unbelievable. It's my favorite thing about the podcast is just being able to fire a question. It's like I've got 1,000 Jamies from the Joe Rogan podcast. Right. Absolutely awesome. And they're all smart asses, which makes it even better. So, but yeah, so I don't know if there's any injury attached to Thor Griffith. I haven't heard anything. Maybe there might be some kind of surgery or something happen. But if he tests well, though, I'm with you, dude. The PFF checks out. There's no two ways about that. So, no. All right, let's see here. Drew D says JT. How do you say that name there?
Tuamaloa? Yeah.
Tuamaloa. That sounds right. Good job, Jacob. Let's see where we got him and we'll get out of here. Let's go JT.
I was surprised by him because it's like I really love who's the opposite guy? Is it Jack Sawyer or Jack Sawyer?
Mm-hmm.
It's like they both are very similar. 6'5", big body guys, around 260. It's like,
right there's Jack Sawyer right there. We got Jack Sawyer at 42, and we've got JT Tuamaloa at 48. So you got to be careful, right? They played on the same defense, and it's like,
right.
Was one, unless you really dive into the tape and go, that guy was drawing a lot of double teams, this guy wasn't. The draft class that I think of every time, I'm always going to bring this up. You had Chase Winovich and Rashawn Gary in the same draft. They both played on the same Michigan defensive line. PFF harped on all draft season long. You can pull up the tweets, guys. If you just type in, if you go to PFF on your phone, on Twitter, and then you'll see the little search thing at the top. You can hit search, right? And when you hit search, just type in Winovich, Gary, and you'll see a tweet pop up. And it's basically them bragging, saying Chase Winovich is going to prove he's a way better pass rusher than Rashawn Gary. Winovich was out of the league like that, and Gary is one of the better edge defenders in the game, in my opinion. Many people would disagree with that, but I think he's a solid edge defender. So maybe not. He's definitely not all pro caliber, but I think Rashawn Gary is at his best. It's funny too. He made a Pro Bowl last year. Not that really matters, but at his best, I would say he was a great edge defender. Right. Last year, I felt like he was very good, and I see some people go, well, we're overpaying for very good. I can understand that, but that's where you got to take the scheme into account and all the things we talked about. So, Coach Lynn, Sawyer's arms are too small for Green Bay. Some people will laugh at that stuff, but Jacob, it matters, man. They look at that stuff.
They do. Yep, they definitely do. I don't know. What do you? I really am starting to be more intrigued by Princely Unamelon from Ole Miss. That dude you talk about a freak. That guy is a freaking freak, man.
Yeah, we got him in the 49 spot, and the Packers have met with him too, and he scored
great.
He scored in between an 8 and a 9 RAS, unless it's been updated. I got to go back through and look.
Look at that rank in 24, dude.
Oh yeah, dominant, man. Dominant. Ole Miss, I'm telling you, man. Lane Kiffin pisses everybody down here in the South off. I'm telling you, they hate him with a passion unless they're Ole Miss fans. They can't stand him. He's just mouthy. But boy, he put out some prospects this year. My gosh, man. I think he's great for the SEC. Just down here, I'm telling you, it's every other day he says something to make somebody mad, and I love it. I listen to the Paul Feinbaum show during the late summers. If you guys have never watched or listened to the Paul Feinbaum show, listening to these rednecks call in and talk about their SEC football, I'm telling you, you'll go. I have. Your life can be in shambles, and you listen to 3 callers in a row, and you'll go, "Oh, I've got this life thing figured out." I ain't got a damn clue. It is awesome. So that's usually my pull time. I get home from work. The goal is to get in the house by about 3:30. Get in the pool. We got a TV out back. Put the Paul Feinbaum show on, and I sit back there like a beached whale with maybe a daddy soda, and watch Paul Feinbaum, and I just laugh my rear end off, dude. It's hilarious. All right, we're way over. Speaking of rear end, my wife's going to kick it here in a minute. So, Jacob, appreciate you jumping on, man. This was fun.
Yes, sir.
All right, we'll see y'all in the morning. We're going to do a morning show, 8:30 a.m. Central Time. We'll be back to talk some more Packers. My marriage is more important than my draft. How about this? How about we'll do a mock draft tomorrow night? All right. We'll do that.
We're doing a morning show or what?
Yeah, definitely doing a morning show. Definitely. All right. Special shout out to Josh Martin with the super chat, Godsmack with the super chat, and Godsmack again with the super chat. We appreciate y'all supporting the stream. Shout out to all the Patreon members, all the YouTube members. You guys are awesome. And Hardy the Prophet did reach out, so we're getting that LVN jersey ready to ship out to him and our other winner earlier this month as well. So up next, we're going to be giving away some really cool autographed cards. So again, we've been talking about them here. You guys know it's Sean Ryan rookie card autograph, Bo Melton autograph, Javon Bullard autograph rookie card, Katano Ladapo autograph rookie card. We got a jersey piece from Mason Crosby that's autographed as well on a card.
I might bet on that, dude. I might bet on that.
You might join the Patreon group.
Never.
I refuse. Anarchy. So if you guys want to join the Patreon group, scan the QR code in the upper right. Let's send you to patreon.com/Packer Fan Total Access. You're a member of one of the 3 tiers. You'll be entered into those giveaways. And obviously, you got access to the chats and all that good stuff, too. And it is rigged. Not really. It is. So, all right. Thanks, y'all. We're out of here. We'll see you in the morning. Everybody have a great night.
There we go. We out.
Bye, guys.